Now we're ready to get going?
Are we
Yeah.
doing two, one?
One, uno.
Okay.
Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark, people. This is where we talk about practical shooting, and you are allowed to use naughty no-no words that people don't like to hear. I mean, if you're so inclined. If you're Joel, you're not going to say those words anyway, are you, Joel?
My mother wouldn't like that.
My mother would. My mother loves to hear you swear.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't really. All right. Well, you guys know the rules. Everybody come to the topic. Something interesting, hopefully. We discuss your topic. We interrogate you. Whatever you want to talk about, complain about, I don't know, show and tell about. And then, if we have time, we'll take some listener questions. So let's get to it. Kim, you brought a topic. What do you got?
Yes, I did. So, Ben used it too. I used it at the nationals.
Wait,
this
I
is
used something?
Yes, you used it for the standard shooting stage.
Kombacha?
So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
called
yeah.
Freezer Zero arm sleeves. So it's made by Columbia. So what this does, Freezer Zero arm sleeves, it has like a blue ring pattern. It's regular arm sleeves with like sun protection, but in the inside, there's freezer rings. So if you just pour any water, maybe not hot, but even lukewarm temperature water, it will start cooling your arms. So what it does, the reason why I bought this and you started using it is I used to have a physical trainer, and I had a conversation with him about jittery hands in the beginning of the competition, and I get that question a lot, and I personally suffer that very badly. And the physical trainers did some research. He used to be a professional rugby player, whatnot, and then he said that jitteriness, the shaky hands, comes from blood pumping through your veins a lot, I guess. So he did some research, and the research says if you ice your arms or wherever it's jittery, it's gonna basically make your blood vessels, a little bit smaller, and like it's gonna decrease that blood pumping and creating that shaky hands. The first nationals, I forgot that I brought it because I'm not used to using it yet, but on the last nationals, I get to use it on the first stage, and I felt a little bit better. Maybe not a little bit, more than a little bit. I definitely felt that jittery hands were definitely minimized, and I didn't really have a problem on the first stage shooting with jittery hands. So I think this is something people might want to try. This is like $20 on Columbia website. So if you have really jittery hands, especially if you shoot one-handed shooting on your first stage, it'll be worse, way worse. So I recommend people trying it if you have seriously jittery hands.
I like
What
it.
do you think, Ben? Did you like
What's the
that?
product called?
It's made by Columbia. The product name Freezer Zero arm sleeves. Freezer
Okay.
Zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah, you
mimic
liked
the
it?
same stuff?
Did
then?
I like it? I liked that you liked it. And I liked it a little bit. Yeah, it was all right. I think
Yeah.
I felt it definitely had an effect on the muscles of my arms and stuff.
Is it compression at all or just cooling?
Cooling, not much compression at all.
It's hardly any compression.
Okay.
And also, it keeps your arms cool too. Once you pour water, it'll last maybe in hot heat, probably 15 to 20 minutes maybe.
Yeah, that
You can
sounds
just
about right.
pour water again. Yeah,
I like
Definitely.
it.
yes.
All right, Mr. Joel, what would you like to talk about?
Well, it's fresh in my mind since I just got a wonderful UPS delivered a package with 4 of them today. It is the off season, so it's time to start messing with stuff. And I am switching grips on my GAT. For the video listeners, you get to see these. The audio people, I'm holding up. They are lock grips, and they are palm swell, which is new to them. So,
So, So where does this fit in the universe of Tanfo grips?
Well,
Because like it was kind of like if you want thin ones, you get the Grafel ones. A little bit thicker, you got the Hennings. If you want the palm swell factory ones, you get the wood ones, but they're not super textured. If you
yeah,
want
these
like
are
big ass ones, you get the Patriot Defense, but they're kind of a stupid shape. You know?
yeah. A friend of mine had the Patriot ones, which is the first time I tried palm swells, and those were like the biggest grips.
Yeah,
And those
they're
I
big.
just like I could not make those work. The idea was okay, but I wasn't sold on the palm swell idea at all because the grips were just too huge. So I think these are a little bit bigger than the Hennings, but definitely not as thick as the factory grips. The top and the bottom of them are like the same thickness as the Lock thin grips or the Hennings. Just in the middle where there's that swell is where it gets a little bit thicker. The main thing I noticed, I decided to, since it's the off season now and I'm still, I guess, fairly trained up, I wanted to test these grips before I got like too much out of shooting, I guess. And I shot just some bill drills, practical accuracy, doubles, some stuff where I was like really paying attention just to how well my support hand stayed on the gun. And for my firing hand, it really didn't matter. I used the regular standard Lock grips before. I've always liked those grips.
Those are
But
super
the thing I
impressive,
noticed,
right?
yeah. So the thing I noticed the most was my support hand. It had more to grab onto, and it didn't feel like I had to necessarily pinch the gun as hard to make my support hand stay put, if that makes sense. So it felt like it was easier to get traction. So
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's the net for the listeners here?
I think they're $75.
Well, how about
Something like
this?
that.
If your grips don't feel right, try different ones.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think you
They're
should
well
go.
worth it.
Yeah, you shouldn't go buy Lock grips. What you should do is like fit your gun to your hand based on your hand size and
Or
You
if
know
you
what I
have really good, if you have cool friends like me, my friend. So there's 3 different textures. My friend Gerald bought 2 of the textures, and Nick bought the other one. So yeah, so between those guys, like, oh, perfect. Just here, put all your guns out on the table in front of me. We're doing this at nationals, and then I just mess with each of their guns. Like, okay, I want that one, I think. And then we got home, and luckily my friend Gerald was going on a trip. So I'm like, hey, how about I just borrow those from you? So I just took them on a test drive for a couple weeks and made a choice. But
Yeah.
yes, finding people's grips and trying them for sure.
yeah, definitely.
The only one I really strongly do not like are the factory grips. I strongly do not like those.
They're pretty
just-
slippery, aren't they?
Yeah, there's nothing to get traction. And like the old style ones were more of a checkering. I think those maybe were better, but the new ones are just too slick. So
Yeah.
uh,
I
yeah.
used to shoot
And
the
then-
old ones. The problem with the factory ones is they change them a lot.
yeah.
They do. I mean, they really do. I like to monkey around with stuff.
And then the other thing I liked with Lock is they have 3 different textures. So they have roughneck, full checker, and bogeys. So like there was like a
I don't know
million
what any of that
choices.
means, but sounds
Exactly.
cool. They have
Exactly.
cool names for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, there's tons of options out there. So now's the time, especially while I was feeling somewhat trained up. It was time to mess around with that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad I did.
That is a nice thing about the stock twos and the shadow twos is you get a lot of options for grips. There's really no excuse to have your gun not fit your hand.
Yeah,
It should.
but for sure the main difference was my support hand. Just it felt like I had more traction. The firing hand was never really the problem.
That's almost. Just me watching people in classes and stuff. That is the most common issue you'll see with grips. It'll be people have them that are too thin, and there's no place for them to put their support hand, or that's not very easy to get a grip. That's the most common issue.
Yeah.
Even if somebody's grips are too big for them, it'll just be a little bit cumbersome to handle the gun, but it's still very shootable.
Yeah, and when you say it's safe to say, like bullseye shooting, you're never going to know there's a problem. But once you do like doubles or a bill drill or something where like practical accuracy, something where you're really like your accuracy is important and you're really paying attention to your grip. Like that bill drill, you can tell how much that thing moves around in your hand or if it's not.
Yeah,
So,
the gun shouldn't be moving around inside your grip at all, as Mr. Kim would say.
so I would be picking drills or stuff to do that's specific to like helping you watch your grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Very interesting topic. Check
Go
your
ahead,
grips,
Ben.
people. Hoppy Cakes.
You're up.
I'm up?
Yeah,
Well, I have to actually ask you a question now that I'm thinking of it.
go ahead.
So I put a stock 2 maintenance video. You know what a genius I am when it comes to gun maintenance, right?
Is it on par with your reloading maintenance? Machine maintenance? Or slightly
No,
better?
I'm better at gun maintenance than I am at doing reloading, for sure.
Okay.
I made like a 20-minute video. Maybe you saw it, Joel. I
I
put
did.
it in the training
I
group.
was impressed. Yeah. I was
You
like,
were?
oh, he actually. Well, I'll be honest. I don't even know how to take my gun apart. That's what I have friends for. But yes, I was impressed for the level of detail you went into.
Yeah, and how to maintain
good.
to take care of stock 2s. A guy has requested a similar video to be made for Shadow 2s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I can't think of anyone more qualified that I know than you, Matt. Would you be willing to help me out there and get a Shadow 2 maintenance video for a training group?
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I want to watch yours first, kind of see. Or do you want me to go into it blind?
No, you could watch mine, just understand the point. It's not that complicated. Just lay out gun shit in front of you and be like, this is the extractor. If, like, you want to look after this. If this happens, then you need to do this thing. Like,
Yeah.
and like, this is this other part. This can break. And if this breaks, you change it. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Like, don't fall in love with the light trigger. Just put this hammer spring in it and this recoil
Oh my
spring,
God.
and go
I could
shoot
talk
it.
so much on that, dude.
There's
That's
no,
why
what
you-
is there to say? It's like,
That's why you just tell them what to buy. This one pops everything. Buy this. That's what I tell people.
Oh.
it's like, quit fucking around with your guns to get the trigger super light,
Yeah, you
please.
need to change 2 springs. It's the main spring and the recoil spring.
Yeah.
Just
And the
save it,
hammer
so.
if you have to. Or
We'll,
want to.
we'll put that
What's-
up in
All right.
training group, and and it'll be fantastic, and everybody will love it. Did I even get you have a training group membership, right, Matt?
Yeah, I'd do it. I got on there and read the introduction section.
Oh, good work.
Well done.
What do you think so far? Yeah.
You're 0.5% of the way through the content that's on there.
I'm very impressed so far, yeah. Great value to dollar value there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well,
Yes. Well, for your dollar value, I'm sure that is positively fantastic. Shit. I forget what my topic is. Oh, yes. Yeah, this is I just wanted to, I don't know if rant is the right word, but just talk about the importance of taking an off season, even if it's just a few weeks. So after nationals is a good time if you're one of the really serious people that goes to nationals. I think it is a good time to put your gun down for a while. It doesn't have to be that long. It could be a couple weeks or maybe a month, and just sort of take some time and reflect on what you want to change for next year. And maybe what would be a good time after Thanksgiving? Then start picking your gun back up and start doing serious dry fire. I get a lot of shit for living in a place where it snows and it kind of shuts down shooting for a while. But I really don't think not being able to shoot for a few months is really that bad for me. I kind of think it's okay. I think it's good to take some time away and not be worried about it for a while.
It kind of gives you more drive when you get back, too, because you're so eager and you want to go hard again, right?
Yes. I mean, next year will be my 15th USPSA season.
That's awesome.
I don't know about that. It's just, that's what it is. And I've been going hard at this stuff for a long time. And one thing that really helps me is you take a couple weeks off, and then I start thinking about training. And I enjoy that cycle of, hey, nationals is done. Now I can just a couple weeks, I just don't really worry about anything. And then I start coming up with some ideas like, hey, I'm going to experiment with this. I want to try this. I can try some crazy grips or some stupid techniques. And I don't really have a match coming up for a while. So either it works or it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. I can switch guns. Like I just switched to shooting stock 3s to prep for a match I have coming up way down the line, like 4 or 5 months from now. And that's fine. I can do all that stuff, and this is the time of year to do it. And you can just kind of have some fun and enjoy shooting and have an off season. You don't need to be going hard at the paint all the time. And I actually, what I'll say is, everybody I know that goes crazy with no off season, and what I mean by that is there's no Like there's no really break in their training. They're doing dry fire, live fire matches all the time, and year round. Those people do not last. I mean, in the long run, they end up burning out. So you don't want to be that guy. So that's what I would say is take an off season and enjoy yourself and then focus on other things. So even during the off season, that's a good time to really focus on loading ammo. So you can put energy into shooting, but it's not really training or that type of stuff. It's you're putting energy into other things. It's also a good time you can read a book about shooting and get better at it, or whatever else. So you could do that sort of stuff where you're still engaged with it and thinking about it, but you're not necessarily doing really hardcore training or having expectations for results at that moment.
Or even now that the training group's out, like,
Yeah.
this is a good time to talk about that.
Is it?
Seriously, like so my little spiel is like, if you're gonna wait until November, or sorry, no, not November, like February, and it's like, okay, in February I will pick up my gun again. I will start thinking about what I want to change next year. Like, everybody else is already gearing up and they're rolling. So like, now is the time, if you want to, like that November, December, where maybe you want to make a technique change or like a division change, or like I'm messing around with these different grips that I like. Now is the time to be like thinking about things you want to change, or like you said, there's a book I want to read that I've had sitting for like 2 months that I've been too busy to mess with. So
Yeah.
now's the time I'll read it. It's just a good time. If you want to change stuff, now's the time. So
It is. Well, as far as people joining training group, I guess we have enough members that it's keeping Kim and I pretty busy just to be reactive and respond to the stuff in there and be putting up new content. So we don't really need more members, but I'm sure there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for the spring, and then they're going to get in there in the spring and they're going to be like, oh, there's like too much stuff here. Like it's too much. They're going to be
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
A friend of mine just joined, and so we were talking. I'm like, hey, what'd you think of this? He's like, oh, you can watch that? And I'm like, yeah, didn't you find that section? He's like, oh, I hadn't got that far yet. Like, he was bewildered that there was too much stuff to keep track of. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good time to wade through all that. And then one thing you missed, if you shoot a gun that you need to send off to a gunsmith, if it's like broken or you need to like have your guns worked on, now's the perfect time to ship those things off, because like if you don't get it back right away, who really cares if it's gone for a month or whatever?
Yeah, I do not understand these people who get a gun back like 3 days before they take it to a match or something. Like,
No.
there's no reason for that.
No, 2 of mine are being actually worked on right now. One of them's already gone, and the other one's in a box waiting to be picked up. So
You gonna get
yeah.
some lighter triggers in there?
No. One of them needs clean. Well, it stopped. All right. I don't know how to take my gun apart all the way, like completely.
Nice.
But I have
ridiculous.
a really good friend that takes care of me. So my main dry fire gun, like this is how well these Tanfolios work. My firing pin spring had broke into 4 pieces, and it was still popping CCI primers, like no big deal. So I was just shooting it. Yeah, but the only reason I gave it to him.
Don't put in that brand of firing pin return spring, please.
Yeah.
I know what brand it was. Don't use it.
So the only reason I gave it to my friend to even have him like do anything with it was because it was like the trigger was getting really like mushy and stuff. Otherwise, it was still feeding and shooting, so I was just kept rolling with it, man. No big deal. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is broken," and I'm like, yeah. So he had his hands full, like getting it returned to working order, I suppose. But,
All right, Mr. Matthew.
All right, so I'm going to kind of dovetail off of this and start talking about prep for 2019.
What's happening in 2019, Matt?
We're going to be shooting again.
Wait, but I've looked at my match calendar. I
Yeah.
see CZ Extreme. I see Limited Nationals. I see European Handgun Championship.
Oh, so
I
you're
see.
actually already planning the matches for next year already?
I'm actually, I'll tell you what, I'm
Oh.
actually a little bent. I'm annoyed that I'm sitting here in November and I have to go to the US IPSC Nationals next year,
Yeah.
and I don't know when it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
really?
No, it's not posted yet.
Why would it be posted?
Oh,
Why would it be posted, Joel? What's wrong with you?
sorry.
Like, I have people up my butthole to tell them when I could do. Like, if I knew the match schedule infinitely in advance, I would have classes booked out like 2 years.
Yeah,
But it's
you
like
can't.
I'm
Yeah.
always waiting
You-
on
you
the
phys- you- yeah.
match schedule.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so what I'm doing now is looking at when matches are, trying to prepare for like nationals for production is in November next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
the latest nationals has ever been.
it'll be snowing probably
So
here
if
by
you
then.
start practicing in January, you're going to have a 10 plus month season. And you have to like plan ahead of for that because like if you're like planning on going hard the whole time, you're super dedicated or too dumb to realize that it's not smart to do.
I had
Probably both.
I think an 8 or 10 week shooting season this year for myself.
That's not
That was not normal.
it's not normal and
Wow.
it's not common for everybody.
No.
Because you say 6 to 8 weeks season, but
Yeah.
you're like literally on the range every week talking and discussing
Every
about
week.
shooting
What are you talking about, Matt?
every
I'm
day.
handling a gun on a range working pretty much every day.
Sure. Yeah,
Yes.
see, so you can't say you have a 6 to 8 week season.
Well, I did though. I did. I mean, I'm
Mike,
not
you
like
could say you had
practicing
a
for
6 to
me.
8 train up for nationals.
Sure.
That's more accurate.
Well, I didn't really shoot any matches either. It was kind of a weird year for me.
Oh,
I
you
had a lot
didn't?
of things to do. Next year,
Then
though, I'm getting focused on the shooting thing, man. I'm taking it serious again.
that's
Better watch
probably
yourself. Missouri Fall Classic. I'll see you there, MFer.
Is this the stop the hop hashtag?
ask them how that went this year.
I think I was in some other place doing some other thing, wasn't I?
Yeah, you didn't show up.
Where did I go? Was I in New Mexico or something?
It was the weekend before Wisconsin.
I don't remember where I was. I was shooting a match some other place, though. I remember being really annoyed when I realized it was in the Missouri match. I like flew over the match in Missouri to shoot a match somewhere else, and I was like, "Damn it!"
You could have drove like stopped there on the way down.
Yeah, that would have, yeah, totally. No, but next year I'm coming for you, Matt.
All right, I'll
All
make
right.
sure and give you the dates.
Yeah, give me the dates because I only need to know like 2 years in advance to make sure I show up at these places.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. All right, so plan out your 2019, people, says Matt.
Yeah, start looking at it. You don't have to plan
Yeah.
it out, but like, you know, nationals is in November, and if you only want to shoot for 6 months leading up to it, you got to start in like May instead of
Yeah.
February.
That is the way that would work. Yes.
Just be thinking about that stuff. Is what.
Hey, would you rather? Here's a thought experiment for you, Matt.
Yeah,
Would you rather have nationals in March or in November?
November.
You didn't have to think about it that hard, did you?
No,
Yeah.
that's.
I remember when was it that they put nationals for open in March, and then they were like confused why people were mad about it. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Like they didn't understand. Like,
Dude,
why
there
would
was
people be
so
angry?
from 16 to 17 there was a 5 month gap between nationals. From 17 to 18 there was like an 18-month gap from nationals for open and PCC and all the
I love
optic
it.
ones.
That's fantastic. All right, let's do some questions, or at least one. We got to get something going on here. Have some spicy questions. My question for the podcast is about moving between production and limited. I think most of the podcasts shot both nationals, and I'd like to see what everyone thinks about swapping between two divisions and the differences between shooting both divisions. Aside from the much faster reloads, this guy's assuming a lot here, and
you did
double
this
the
one, dude.
rounds. Oh, we did do. Did we? No, you made us scrap the spicy podcast. You remember that?
No, you left it.
No, I didn't leave it.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry.
Blah blah blah. How fast are you shooting? Blah blah blah. Any other differences you taking advantage of? I'm sure Juanzek will be able to maybe able to dissect the topic nicely. Any plans to post your stage runs from nationals? I noticed Juanzek taking videos in some of the footage. Yeah, the stage runs are and all the analysis for production nationals and limited nationals is up in training group. Well, the limited nationals isn't up in training group, but by the time you hear this, I'll probably be starting to post it. We got to bleed this content out. We got to make this last for a couple months, man. All right, Kim, you reload way faster than limited, right?
Way faster. Yes,
No, you don't.
that's true.
That's not true. I load my limited gun slower. I don't know what these guys are talking about. That it's faster.
Is that just due to weight of the magazines?
Yeah, I mean, if you're loading up like a chock full magazine with a ton of rounds in it, it's heavy, and you got to like make sure it's seated in there. I'm not any faster loading that. Maybe in a classifier setting, if the magazines aren't stuffed, it's the same, but it's not. I don't think it's faster. It's more consistent, maybe, because the magwell does help the consistency, but I don't think it makes you faster. Well, I think this is a guy who probably hasn't shot this stuff. As far as the scoring difference, I don't care about Charlie's at all. Like I do not care about Charlie's shooting limited at all. I don't care.
Yeah. So, and people always focus on the capacity. I don't think the capacity difference
It's got nothing to do
makes
with
it
anything.
interesting. Yeah, at all. So
And you're
really,
not-
what is?
You're
So it's
not
just
really
power
like,
factor.
you're really not less. Yeah, the major scoring is a big deal. The capacity's not. Because a
So,
lot
like,
of times you're running tight on rounds anyway. Because if it's a 32 round stage and it's like, okay, I'm shooting 19 and then loading, you're still running tight for the first part of the stage. You know
So,
what I
like,
mean?
so the main luxury is like if it's a partial, maybe and there's a no shoot or something, you could maybe hold off a little bit more and eat the C's as opposed to like, oh, I really want these alphas.
No, it's not a luxury. It is an absoluteness. Like the C's do not matter.
Yeah.
They effectively don't matter in most settings. Like I don't care about shooting C's. I don't care at all. Like I can't emphasize that enough. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like I try to shoot as many C's as I can, and I'm like, oh, I could just keep pounding on this.
Yeah. That makes sense. Kim, you're awfully quiet.
Yep.
He's tired, man.
Where I'm jet lagged.
Oh no.
Too much carbs, rice. Anyhow, where I aim is different on partials. If I'm shooting minor production versus major scoring, so there were many partials at the nationals, and there were some partials that are covered vertically, so there's no shoot on the stomach area. Then with minor, I am aiming somewhere close to the upper A area where it's close to the Charlie perf. But if I'm shooting major, I'm just shooting middle of the brown. Period. And I don't, like Ben said, I don't care if it's Charlie, but just middle of the brown is the go-to. And also, since there is more rounds and also dropping Charlie doesn't hurt much, there's way more shooting on the move opportunity. Because in production, if you shoot similar stage 32 round course, oftentimes we are running out of bullets, so we need to reload. And there was target arrays that were, in one place you can see 10 targets sometimes, kind of like that. Then we can definitely shoot on the move way more. That was a big difference. And I saw many videos of other shooters shoot who's shooting limited and production, and a lot of people just shoot everything on the move as much as possible. I think that's the main difference.
Yeah, it's all about the major. I don't think the rest of the differences are not. They don't really matter that much.
You could be more aggressive.
No, it is a
I don't
necessity.
think so.
You must.
Yeah.
You must, because other people will be. Like I
Yeah.
don't shoot my limited gun very aggressively because I haven't really trained with it. But
Yeah, you had a crazy alpha count. It was pretty impressive.
it's too much. Like if I actually practiced with that gun, I'd probably be better. Funny how that works. But yeah,
Yeah,
the major
go
is
figure.
the major's the deal. That's what matters. For real. All right, guys. Another bang up episode. Thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Matthew. And so Joel is chastising me in the chat for sending him funny pictures.
I'm trying to focus, man.
I'm focused.
Yeah, right.
Whatever, you son of a bitch. All right, anyway. Listeners, if you have a question you'd like the answer to, go to benstegger.com. Send me your questions. We'll put it to the boys, and they're going to have a great chat. Have a fun time. Yes.